Hey guys, welcome back to Chaos Core Tech. My name's Chelsea and today I'm going to be making Domo with a 3D pen. Let's get started. So first I make the basic shape of Domo, which is basically squares and rectangles. And then with those squares and rectangles, I go ahead and fill them in with a sort of grid-like pattern. Once I have all the generic square and rectangular shapes, I start attaching them together. I keep doing this until I have the base shape of his body. Now, while I was in the thought process of doing this, I decided that it might be cool to add magnets to the inside of Domo so that he could have like detachable accessories. So I started adding magnets inside of the body in the different areas that I would want his accessories. So right now I was thinking probably one of his bow ties, possibly some eyeglasses, and maybe a pair of headphones. At this point, I switch over to some red filament, and I decide I'm going to place his mouth where it's going to need to be. I go ahead and fill in the mouth with the red, and switch over to white and add his teeth. Once his mouth is on, I can go ahead and start to fill in the entire rest of his body. So I add more grid shape to it and basically do a squiggle type pattern all over his body. So it almost looks like that furry texture that Domo has. This furry texture took a very long time. He is a decent size model and there's just a lot of surface area to cover with this furry texture. Skip forward an entire year. And no, I'm not kidding. It was an entire year before I started working on Domo again. And we're going to start attaching his limbs. To make his arms, I decided I was going to make a cylinder, like type tube, figure out about the length I wanted it, and connect those circles together to make that cylinder. Make a grid pattern on the cylinder and fill it in with more furry texture. I decided last minute that I also wanted to add some magnets to his hands in case I wanted some sort of accessory that he could grab onto. I made the arm just a little bit too long at sort of a weird angle. I decided to take the flesh cutters and go ahead and cut some of that arm off so that it would attach at the angle I wanted it to and a little bit shorter. For his legs, I decided that I was going to find something that was going to help me make that cylinder. For his arms, I had a hard time finding something the right thickness. So for the legs, I decided I was going to find something that was close enough to the correct thickness that I would be able to use that to help me make those a little bit easier. And it just so happened that my acrylic paint bottles were about the right size. So with the help of the paint bottle, the leg went a little bit quicker than what the arms were to make, which was awesome because I've already spent way too much time on this thing. So I attached both of the partially done legs to the body, one of them at a slight angle so it looks like he's walking. And once I got those attached, I went ahead and filled them in with more grid and yet again, more furry texture. Last minute, I decided that his legs needed to be just a little bit longer and something that was going to be a little bit easier for me to make the bulge of the bottom of his foot. So I went ahead and made another little cylinder with the acrylic paint bottle and attached that to his leg at sort of an angle that looked like that bulge of the bottom of his foot. Filling in models like this is probably the most time-consuming part. If you think about how many hours a 3D printer sits and does layers upon layers upon layers, you're doing the same thing just with your own hand. So it takes me hours and hours to end up filling in all of this texture all over his body. But in the end, he's cute and it's worth it. So once I think his furry texture looks pretty decent all over, I decide that I'm going to start making all of the accessories, his magnetic accessories. I end up making a small little black bow tie with a magnet in the middle. And I also decide to attempt a pair of glasses. So I measure across the top of his head just to get the general size that I'm going to want, and use that piece of filament to start making the glasses. And when I make all these accessories, I really just eyeball what I think looks right, and I keep adding bulk filament if I think an area needs to be bigger, and if it needs to be smaller, well, that's a little more difficult. So as I'm in the middle of making his accessories, his glasses to be specific, my last Scribbler 3D pen crapped out on me. So I was pretty upset and I did not know what I was going to do to finish this project. And then I realized that I still have the eSun Low Temp 3D pen with the moldable filament. And I figure I can definitely make that stuff work for his accessories. So eSun 3D pen to the rescue. I went ahead with my black moldable filament and went over what I had already done with the glasses, and it worked great. I think it has a cool texture to it, and in the end I think it worked out for the best. When I went to finish his nerd glasses, he needed his wrapped little fabric in the middle of them. All I had, like I said, was the eSun 3D pen. I went to load up the white filament, and the white filament turned out that it was mainly clear. So that was unfortunate. I decided that I was going to just attach that clear filament in strips, and I was just going to end up painting it in the end. But once it finally dried completely, it looked somewhat white. I mean, it's not quite an opaque white, but I thought it looked decent enough. So I left it as is. And there's just some accessories that were just not super easy to make with the moldable filament. If I would have taken the time to make molds or have molds, I definitely probably could have made him his headphones like I wanted to, and his little snake that I wanted him to hold, but it just didn't work out that way. So I thought at least I was going to make him a little bubble sign, like he was saying "rawr," even though I watched the videos and I don't think he makes that sound anywhere, but that's okay. It looks cute anyway. So I used the clear filament, or transparent white, whatever you want to call it. Went over it multiple times to get it as opaque as I possibly could. Switched over to my red filament and then my black filament. My handwriting is not very good with this stuff, but we'll let it slide. So in the end, with multiple Scribbler 3D pens crapping out on me, I did not get to do all the accessories I wanted, but I think overall he turned out amazing and cute. And he got a couple accessories, which is enough for me. So here he is. Alright guys, well he's finally finished. 3D Pen Domo with magnetic accessories. I wish I had magnetic accessories, that would be so cool. This video has been a long time coming and I think he turned out pretty cool. If you like this type of video, let me know in the comments down below and I might make some time for a few more 3D pen models. We will have to see. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, keep creating.